Hello, everyone. Welcome to CS Summit. So we are going to start now the part of the program where you are going to sit in our auditorium. Thanks for coming. This is I'm Tevfik Bultan. I'm the department chair. This event is one of the best events. So I'm going to ask the students maybe to come and sit down because we are going to start the program. That's awesome, Joanne. Thank you. So one thing I want to comment about CS Summit, I don't know how many times we did this now. Does anybody know which one? I think more than 10 maybe. It's my favorite event because the student projects are always so cutting edge. If you want to know where the computing discipline is going, it's the best event to attend because the student projects in collaboration with the industry gives you the best idea what is happening now, right? It's very exciting, so looking forward to student presentations. I just want to mention, so today I want to thank Giovanni and Tobias as the instructors for the Capstone. Capstone projects will be presented. I'm going to introduce our distinguished speaker, David Fenke. We are so grateful to him for agreeing to come to present the keynote for the day. I want to thank our staff for organization. This takes a lot of effort getting everything lined up. So thank you so much. And I want to show the program. First acknowledge our industry partners for this class. So Capstone class. So the Capstone class, which ends up being the exciting presentations that you are going to see today, it's a 2-quarter course. And the way it's done is we have industry partners that actually we match with student teams, and the projects are suggested by the industry partners, and they mentor the teams, and their participation is what makes it so special. So I want to thank all this year's companies that participated in the projects, every year, we learn where we are going, right? So I don't know, this year we'll see. I suspect there will be some NLP maybe, I don't know. We'll see what projects we'll see. So this is the agenda. We start with lunch and posters, and we'll have our distinguished lecture, then Capstone presentations. We'll have a short break between the distinguished lecture and the Capstone presentation, and then we'll have the reception and awards announcements for the Capstone projects. And Giovanni Estal, I think, formed a team of judges, so they are going to pick the top projects. So now it's my very distinct honor to introduce our distinguished speaker, David Fenke. David is an American entrepreneur, businessman, and technical advisor. He served as the Senior Vice President of Engineering and Operations for LinkedIn, as you know, a professional social networking website from 2009 to 2013. Prior to LinkedIn, David was the Senior Vice President of Engineering and Operations at Yahoo for over 4 years. He has worked at Alta Vista, Silicon Graphics, Hewlett-Packard, and co-founded 2 successful startups, CAE Systems and Team One Systems. David is a UCSB alumni. He received his bachelor's degree in mathematics from UCSB in 1978, graduating with highest honors. He currently serves on the UCSB College of Engineering Dean's Cabinet and is a trustee of the UC Santa Barbara Foundation since 2017. I want to tell you that David has been a champion and advocate of computer science at UCSB, and we all owe him a great gratitude. I have seen him passionately speak about the discipline, and he not only personally contributed significantly, but also advocated on the behalf of all the students that want to study in this area. And he was very kind enough to accept our invitation to speak today. He would talk about computer science learning for 45 years. And when he actually received this degree at UCSB. There was no computer science major. So today he would like to share learnings from his career, including successes, failures, and challenges. And his Fenke axioms describe most of those learnings. Also, he would like to talk about future trends in computing and share any advice for computer science engineers jumping into the fray. And David really enjoys student questions, so actually we'll have a 20-minute time, hopefully at the end of his remarks, where they would like to answer your questions. So please think about good questions and ask a lot of questions to David. Thank you, David, for coming to talk to us. I assume there are lots of questions. And David wants to hear from students. So if you want to ask a question, please come to the microphones here, and please ask your question. You can line up. Please go ahead.
I don't know if this works. Hello? Yeah, quick question. What would be some good advice that you could give for like entrepreneurs who are coming out of UCSB?
Advice for entrepreneurs looking out of UCSB?
In terms of like, during my time at UCSB, I haven't really built anything or anything like that.
You worked on the Capstone project, correct?
Oh yes, that's true. Yes.
Everybody here worked on the Capstone project? Good. I actually judged this thing, so that's actually real work. So let's start with that first. One of the first projects I saw, some security projects. One of the first projects I saw was real estate management, property management. Raise your hand if you worked on that. There they are. Okay. Why is this important to me personally? I'm a tech advisor to 3 companies. Guess what one of them does? Real estate property management. How about that apple? So guess what I'm going to connect to? So you are doing something because you worked on something. Now, if you were an intern at LinkedIn, that would be great. It's hard to do. You could be an intern at other companies. Also a great opportunity to spend your summer. If you were an intern at a company like LinkedIn and you were good, guess what we did at the end of the internship? We signed you up. As soon as you graduated, you worked for us. So let me give an example of an intern. Eric, the intern, was from UC Berkeley. And when I got there were no metrics. Remember we talked, what gets measured gets fixed. Eric wrote an intern job that measured 40 million metrics a second. We now do 400 million metrics a second at LinkedIn. Eric, the intern, is now Eric, the employee, and he's also Eric, the recruiter at UC Berkeley. Says, I don't work there anymore. You get how internships work? Very important. Capstone, good. Internship, even better. Find a mentor. Talk to your professors. Talk to the trustees.
Thank you.
Very good. Other questions? Anybody ready to produce your projects? By the way, if you don't have a bunch, it's better for me because I can't hear it.
So as like a graduating senior right now, it kind of seems like we're headed into a pretty difficult job market right now. Signs are kind of pointing towards a recession. What kind of advice would you have for someone who's kind of looking for something after college right now?
Given maybe we are heading towards recession, job market being tough, what do you think?
Interesting question because I don't take that at all. Here's the thing. We've seen a lot of layoffs in the tech industry, right? Everybody's seen Google. The first time Google did this, by the way, Google could afford to do this because they hired too many damn people in the first place, so they never did it in the first place, but because they tricked them. But Google laid off, Facebook laid off, Twitter laid off. Why did they lay off? They overhired. That's why. It's not because we're in a recession. We did get there, but we're not in one now. The bank failure was probably the biggest thing that happened to me that I think is striking. It was dangerous. Venture capital will dry up if the banks fail, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Silicon Valley Bank was one-off. I think some others are having some tough times, personally, and largely because they bet on long-term bonds. You know, I didn't, so I'm not nervous about that. Here's the advantage of it. Guess what a great time to start companies?
Yesterday.
Because if you can get the money and the funding and bottom down, It works. And they'll vouch for it. And they'll tell the other 300 people to buy your stuff. Then you don't have to ask for money. You know why? The money will come to you. So the more you can do up front and show that you have a customer base that's willing to pay for this, that's the best thing you can do. If you show up with this great idea, it's going to be harder to raise capital. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time. Just wanted to thank you for coming out and talking to us. My question kind of goes off of his. There's a lot of questions right now about the future of the workplace and our economy, not just with the bank failures, but with how COVID changed the workplace. A lot of people are moving to working remotely versus in the office. And you mentioned ChatGPT. My question is specifically with how do you think ChatGPT is going to change not just the technology industry, but all industries? Do you think that jobs are going to be automated away? Do you think that maybe jobs won't be automated away, but rather they'll just be hiring less people because they will be more productive, because they'll be able to leverage AI, et cetera? What are your thoughts on this?
Guess what's going to change forever? That'll affect you guys. How you talk. How you going to learn. I was told that 90% of what you learn might be taught by ChatGPT. Wow. That's kind of different for you. Certainly different for me. Right? Let's look at some jobs that are going to change. By the way, this isn't a blue-collar problem. Blue-collar still needs people to have their hands fix pipes. This is a white-collar problem, or a job, right? You're a lawyer. Hey, ChatGPT just gave you the legal brief. It's as good as paying a lawyer $300 an hour. Could you just why not? Right? I'm an accountant. I'm a teacher. I'm a doctor. This gets a little shady now when you're a doctor, because if ChatGPT says, "Sir, I think we're going to have to do brain surgery." We've got a little bit of a problem, don't we? And especially if they're wrong. And that's going to be the rub. That's where things get tough. So I think what you're going to see is people working with AI and working smartly with AI. But I don't think it's going to be wiping out everyone. But it will impact, I believe, a number of white-collar jobs. What will happen is new people. So we're going to need more engineers, by the way, to work on the AI systems. We're going to need more engineers to work on the security systems for the AI systems. So you guys are probably okay, but a lot of white-collar jobs are going to have to cause new trainers. The other thing to remember in AI is you need trainers. A lot of things that happen with computers, you have people who are training the data sets. That's human interaction. This is good. This is bad. This is a positive. This is a negative. This is an evaluation made by somebody that has experience in this field. So there's going to be a lot of jobs helping to train the systems and make them better. So I think jobs are going to change as well. But I do think a lot of jobs are going to go away, especially high-paying jobs that we don't need them to do anymore. But there'll always be jobs for you guys because you're building the system.
I have a follow-up question too. So you talked about, additionally, during your lecture, how ChatGPT in the next 24 months and AI in general is going to progress at a rapid rate that we haven't seen before. Do you think, and it's also going to change education, do you think that this might in any way devalue a college education? You said that it's going to more so affect white collar.
UCSB CS degree always gains value in time. That's my short answer.
I actually don't know. I don't think it happened in the short term at all, under any circumstances. I think there's a lot, I think we were talking about this very topic today, about how people are going to have to become problem solvers rather than do things like, the example was we're going to multiply through 12-bit numbers, right? 12-digit numbers. Well, the computer can do that faster than you and I can. I don't care how big they are. And we'll let the computers work on those kind of problems. The interesting one is where the computer starts figuring out things that you didn't even think of, right? And that's where it gets a little dicey.
Thank you.
Hi, I want to do a fast follow-up. I want to do a follow-up on this. I don't think that your college degree is going to go away or become less valuable. And I give you one example that I think it's really important. So we were discussing ChatGPT and the power of the solution, and we found out that now the most important thing is prompt engineering. So how do you ask the question to the AI to get the answer that you want back? And this is just an example of how something that is disruptive as a tool can also change your perspective on what's important. But in order to understand how you do the prompt engineering, why it's important, what's the mechanism behind the AI that allows you to jailbreak that particular technology, is part of your education. So don't ever think of your education as knowing things. It's about meta knowing thing. And I'm not pushing Zuckerberg thing. I'm just saying it's meta knowledge, which you're learning here. And I have a question. It was a rambling comment, but I have a question for you. And the question is, I love the comment, if you're an entrepreneur, get customer who will testify to the value of your company. And that's also something that I always say, find a champion that will take your startup and pitch it to others so that it shows the value. So, but how do you find, it's kind of a chicken and egg problem. How do you find the champion, the customers that will also go out and testify to the value?
Well, finding customers is easy if you can solve a problem that only you can solve. Anybody ever heard of Algalar? Thank you. It's always the same guy. He said, create a solution to a problem that only you can solve. The first question I always ask people is, what do you do that the other guys don't? Then you find your champion. Because if you do something that's important to somebody, that solves a problem that they have, that only you solve, or if you solve it so much better than the other guy, or the other gal, or faster, or whatever, you don't have to sell it. It'll sell itself. These people will champion it for you. And they'll take this. And the other thing is they might not champion it for you. If they're a competitor, they won't tell their competitors about it. But they will tell other people, if you use this, these are the kinds of things you can do that you could never do before. And people, if they want those things, and if they find them valuable, trust me, that's how you get it. And you get fast, and you can grow. But the other thing that's nice about the internet, once you can grow fast, people use your stuff, and it becomes this thing. Not all of it's good, but we pay a price for that. But the growth is good. And the other thing that happens with growth is feedback. They'll tell you, this is really good, but this kind of sucks. And you'll know this in seconds. At LinkedIn, we used to run probably about 100,000 A/B tests a minute. This is good, this guy, this is good, this guy, this is good, this guy. And we use computers to add it all up. We say, okay, this button is good, this button is bad. Don't do this flow, do this flow. The computers would tell, the users would tell us all the time. They like this, they hate that. So the users are good at that way. That's why internet growth is good. The security people, he lives in the same world where they're constantly bombarding you with new things that you have to deal with. But the good news is you see it. You see it constantly. Customers will tell you they're the champion for you. It doesn't hurt to have somebody that has a name to deal to. If I was going to build a security company, I would go find this guy and say, you help me. That's what I would do.
I was wondering if you could comment on, our students will go work at companies, maybe a startup company, maybe a bigger company. I was wondering if you could comment on cross-functional partners, like product managers, user experience designers, quality assurance engineers, people who are not classically trained computer scientists, but we will work with them. In a small company, maybe you just have a bunch of CS folks who are very broad and talented, but a bigger company, it might be more siloed. And I was just wondering if you could comment on that.
That's a great question. This is an organizational question that I don't ever get to talk about. They don't teach this at Stanford Business School, trust me. So the David Fenke theory of management is the Catholic Church, as much as they had issues, had 5 levels of management, from Pope to parish priest. If you have more than, or six levels from Pope to parish priest. If you have more than 6, there's something wrong with you. So yeah, with 13, kind of like, how can this person here possibly get to this person here if it has to go through 13 levels? That's ridiculous. So it can't be more than 6, right? In civil graphics, we have CEO, EP, director, manager, engineer. 5 levels. It was a beautiful thing. I could go to the CEO's office, calculate this here. It's that accessible. So levels of management matter. But team size also matters. And I'll talk about that. Can I manage 13 people directly? Not possible. 6 to 8? Very well. So you keep your team small, like little startups, but you have to budget. And it's a very flat hierarchy. By the way, the other reason you want a flat hierarchy is that they don't teach us that. The 2 levels of bad managers problem, that's it. Your manager sucks. His manager sucks. You're kind of screwed, right? That's the 2 levels of bad management. So you basically have to either go here or quit. So that's the hierarchy part of the argument. On the other side is how teams work together. So what they did was very structural, like you said. The 5 people are over here, the engineers are here, ops people are here. I said, bullshit. Let's put, and they were pointing fingers at each other, right? You know, I remember a lot of us and them conversations, and they were arguing about internal teams. They were arguing who's better to do it. Those guys suck, blah, blah, blah. And I'd say, there's only one us and one them. We already know who they are. What part of that don't you understand? And I use some nasty word. Bottom line is, I put hybrid teams together. The product people, the ops people, the engineers, the QA people, you're all the same team. If it works, great, celebrate. If it doesn't work, then you own it together. You lose together. You lose as a team. And that created a better environment where there wasn't this. They took great pride in what they did together. So you can cross those boundaries, whether they're structural boundaries artificially created by the company, by just saying, ignore that. We are a team. This team operates as a team. And a good question, and I love it. Anyway.
David, I want to ask one question. So you have been, with your 45-year experience, I think that you are one of the best people to ask this question. So why do you think California has been so successful in computing industry, as a dominant force? And as a California state? And the other thing is, what should it, in the future, what is it that we need to do in California? Because it has been successful with all these companies.
So who knows who are in the top 10 public universities in the United States? Public universities in the United States, top 10. Anybody know this answer? Well, you guys are one of them. And so is UC Berkeley, and so is UC Irvine, and so is UC Davis, and so is UC San Diego. What does that tell you? Good system. It works. And that's one reason. We actually care about education in the state, and public education figures heavily in the care. The other thing, and this, I had an argument with my boss's ex-wife, actually not an argument, he was from Silicon Valley. We argued that Silicon Valley is unusual. Now it's changing because of remote work. Silicon Valley had universities, Stanford, UC Berkeley, San Diego State, but they also had a lot of companies that were right there. Hewlett-Packard, Intel, Apple, and Facebook, and Google, and LinkedIn, and on and on. So you have these people that made everything that were already there, right? And you had a lot of venture capitalists at San Diego. So there was a unique environment just in that community where you didn't have, in the old days, to go outside of that environment to find what you needed. You could find a compiler expert, you could find a ChatGPT expert, you could raise the money, you could find a chip guy, you could find a firmware guy. Everything was there. Now the interesting change is COVID, to me, because that changed remote. You could be anywhere and be working with your team. And that's changed a lot about how people work. I still am up in the air on my collaboration capability hybrid is part of the future. But don't underestimate the start, which is the university system and education itself for producing great talent that we can bring into these companies. And that made a big difference, certainly in Silicon Valley. Because I saw it when it was not so big, and now it's massive.
Oh, one, maybe last question to the.
Just to extend about that, I think another thing with California is that in a lot of other states, you couldn't have brought people over from those other companies because of non-competition agreements. And California is one of the only states in the country that doesn't allow non-competes. So people can switch companies in ways that they can't.
Yeah, he's making a legal argument about non-competes. You know what I do when I see legal paperwork, anyone? So I recruited hundreds of people for jobs that I never did, all their best people. And I got a lot of legal paperwork from the job lawyers. They were all in my wall. And I brought in my engineers and they said, please have them call me first. Very important. They contact me first. And I'll hire anyone you want. And I was the best recruiter in the beginning. I don't care much for the legal fees. I'm glad that California is better at it than other states. I don't believe in non-competes. It's a free work society, free will society. So, but that's a good point. But I think there's a lot of good stuff happening. You guys are great. Get to go to school and follow the student placement players. I know I was here, already got a visit, just like you. And by the way, we party every night. Hopefully you don't do that anymore. It's a chance to do that. Anyway.
Well, thank you very much, David, for this fantastic talk. Thank you. So we have a break now, and 2:30 we'll start with the Capstone presentations, and Giovanni Vigna will run the show. Thanks, everybody.
Hey guys, welcome to the summit. We are Team Go CISO. I'm Kyrie.
I'm Bowen.
I'm Ningxia.
I'm Shichen.
I'm An Cao.
We work with Algalar Foundation, and this is our project, Algalar Learning Management System.
So first, we have to know what is LMS. LMS is a learning management system, which is crucial to our college learning process. It's a system that sustains most learning materials. It allows the instructors to administer the students. It also records our grades and the performance in each classes. One good example could be our favorite 高手 space. Okay? And currently, there are over 20,000 students and over 1,000 faculties are using it to teach and learn. Such a system provides great convenience to integrate all the information within the scope of a course and output useful functionalities to both professors and the students.
Although the current learning management systems plays a very important role in student study life, it has several problems. The first problem is that it is very instructor-centered, and students can only participate in the most basic studying process, like checking their grades, reading course materials, and submitting homeworks, without other more interactive and personalized activities to make their learning experience more engaging. And the second problem is that the current system is based on a centralized database. And this can cause problems in situations like if the server goes down, the user will have no access to the data that's stored in LMS. And this can be a very serious issue considering the credibility and security. Hence, from our above problems, it shows that the current LMS does not meet the need for student-centered and learner-oriented contemporary classroom.
For changing the focus of LMS from instructor to students, we discovered that blockchain is actually a very ideal way to achieve that. The usage of NFT is able to record students' performances of various kinds as a permanent, unchangeable segment of data. And that data can be kept by the students on their own instead of a distant centralized database. The reliability of blockchain and the signification power of NFT is the signification power of NFT makes the system very ideal for our learning management system that we can use Web3 to achieve that. Therefore, we introduce our goals. First, we want things to be personalized. The instructor can actually create assets that are that can actually create an atmosphere of an online classroom that is more engaging by providing evaluations of different dimensions. And second, we want things to be convenient and more credible for students. Students can possess their own data, and the students can actually provide the data from their own when in case of needs, so that it is more convenient and it also makes more sense.
So to complete our goal, we combine the technology of the Algalar blockchain with our new learning management system. There are certain advantages about using the blockchain compared to traditional LMS. So the first feature of the blockchain is its interoperability that allows users to transfer their data and communicate with each other even they are on different subchain. So such a way would provide users safety and convenience when using our subchain. The second advantage of using the blockchain is it provides analytics, advising, and learning assessment to its users. So in addition to a simple test or GPA score, students can now self-evaluate their performance by various kinds of NFTs that's corresponding to their participation, question posed, project competition, and so on. So the last and most important feature is the personalization. Professor can create various kinds of NFT they want and use it as encouragement and records for students. So think about this scenario, like I'm a student and I went to the professor office hour. I want to get a recommendation for my course, and but a professor might just think, who this kid is? I don't remember him. But when I show my NFT package to him, it corresponding all my performance on this class, it will refresh the professor's memory. So that's why we'll do that. And here's our demo.
Hey guys, welcome to Algalar. Today, I'll walk through a scenario in which a professor wants to send an NFT to reward his students' performance. We're using a new professor account. You only need to provide email, name, and password to start your life on Algalar. We made things similar to Web2 sign-up experience so that there is no complication with blockchain technology. After signing in, you can see the courses that you're currently enrolled in. Tap on Me button to redirect to your account info, and you can see an Algalar account that's auto-generated upon your registration. In order to create and send an NFT, you will need to found your account first with Algalar's virtual currency called Algo. Now there are 10 Algos that go with your account, but in case you need more, you can freely dispense more Algos on this page. We are not focusing on the monetary value of NFTs, it just enables NFT transactions. You can see the algorithm changes after dispensing. Now let's create a new NFT. You only need to input several attributes that forms an evaluation of students. In this case, we are giving it to reward the project winner of CS189A. We give our NFT a name, select its course, and a level number to signify its overall importance, and then label it as project category. Give a personal comment on students' performance, and finally, an image URL to make it look like a badge. Hit create, and you can see your NFT created in your collection. Tap on the badge, and you will see the detailed information of the NFT, especially the comments. You can also view the NFT and its detail page from its course page to check your NFT collection for each course. By clicking the transfer button on each detail page, we can now send an NFT to our students. Simply select from the list of enrolled students in this course. In the case of this project, we can select multiple students and then click send. After a short while of waiting, you can see the button change color, and that means our transaction is done. And now we shall verify that the transaction is correctly done. Log in as the student that we just sent an NFT to, and you can see from the course page that this NFT pops up. along with other NFTs that the student possesses. You may also notice that the student will not be able to transfer this NFT again, but only keep it as their permanent asset. You can also see the transaction happen on Algo Explorer, which records all the activity on blockchain. Hey guys.
Okay. One about like how the backend structure works. So first of all, we use the Firebase authentication to enable both students and professors for the login, reset password, as well as the email verifications. Then after they log into the account, so they will, can use the Algorand blockchain. So for the professors, they can generate and send NFTs. And for the students, they can earn and receive the NFTs via the Algorand blockchain. Okay, so when it comes to the prospect of our project, first of all, the system can give the gamification potentials of NFTs. For instance, from the picture shown at the left, professors can post tasks for students using NFTs, and students can earn special NFTs after they finish the task. Also, if the students get enough NFTs for small tasks, and they can upgrade their NFTs to a higher level rewards, which means they will have a higher rewards for their class performance. Moreover, we can also build a new generation of the learning systems and the college community using the Web3. For instance, our students can use the student-oriented learning management system, can get connected with the systems that beyond the school courses. For instance, students can get connected with ETS, and upon receiving the GRE score, ETS can send you an NFT so that whenever you're applying for the graduate schools, the admission committee can get the records directly from you instead of you requesting sending a GRE score report. Okay, so that's all of our prospect part and all a part of the presentations, and thank you guys very much.
Okay, so obviously you can always create an NFT on the Algo Explorer website by their front end, but it is important that each asset is different. Say the source account and the end account of an NFT transaction is gonna be different. If you mint it by yourself, you can create all the data on your own. You can even hash it to put it in the metadata field of the NFT, but the source account and the end account will always be you can never use the source account of your professor to send it to you. So that's why it is secure on the blockchain.
Thank you.
Good job, guys. Testing, testing.
Testing.
We're good. Oh, hi everyone. We're Team FastX. So for the past 2 quarters, we've had the pleasure of working with Authenticate. And so our project here is called CoreKey, and we're gonna show it off for you today. So to start off, my name's Adam. I'm team lead, and I work on cross-platform dev.
Hi, I'm Simon. I was on mobile development.
I'm Olivia. I was also on mobile development.
I'm Arjun. I was in charge of authentication.
My name's Hunter. I was also part of authentication.
So to get started, I'm going to introduce the problem that we're solving here, and that problem is passwords. If you use the internet, you've probably used a password before. So passwords are kind of the the thing that lets you get access to all of your accounts online, and be pretty sensitive stuff sometimes like bank information. And at the end of the day, they're a pretty archaic and outdated way to protect your information, right? So a lot of people reuse their password from one website to another, and if some person were to get a hold of that password, then they could probably get a hold of all your accounts, right? And that can happen through multiple different ways. Data breaches all the time, SIM swapping, it's just a whole mess. Another problem with passwords, pretty inconvenient, right? I don't know how many times you've done this, but I've forgotten my password a lot, and every time I forget my password, I have to go through the whole reset process. I have to come up with a bunch of different requirements for length and different symbols. It's a whole hassle memorizing all of them. Every time my mom forgets the password, she calls me and expects me to remember it, and it's just a pain. And another thing is that it's pretty slow. So there's the factor of having to come up with a password and memorize it, and one solution that companies put forward to add security is two-factor. The thing about two-factor is that it is slow. Every time you log in, you have to pull out your phone and approve a login request. And the thing about two-factor as a security solution is it's actually not that secure. A few months ago, there was a hack at Uber where a hacker, he tried to log into someone's accounts and hammered the employee with two-factor notifications. And all that employee had to do was, all right, fine, I'll approve one of them, and then suddenly, that hacker got into the Uber Slack.
All right, so our solution is to replace passwords altogether. We made an app, CoreKey, which will run on your smartphone devices. And this app will basically act as a roaming Fido authenticator. By doing this, you have the security of a hardware authenticator like YubiKey, but it's conveniently built wirelessly into your phones. And because it's built into your phones, you're much less likely to use it, lose it. Because the YubiKey is like a small little thing. It's really easy to misplace it and whatnot. One thing also is that unlike Duo, which is a secondary authenticator, CoreKey is a primary authenticator. You're not going to need to input a password or any other account information. Just having that connection between your mobile device and your browser is going to allow you access to your accounts. With Duo, you're going to need to also input your password and other stuff as well, and approve it on your phone. So how do we do it? We did this using a security protocol called Fido. Fido is a set of authentication standards that was developed by the Fido Alliance, which consists of members of tech companies, government institutions, and also financial institutions as well. They created this in the hopes of addressing concerns with traditional password-based authentication methods, which are, as been described, fairly weak. They wanted to replace this with really strong, scalable, and easy-to-use authentication methods like biometrics or a PIN. Currently, the Fido Alliance consists of over 250 members, and here are some notable members of the Fido Alliance.
Yeah, so I'll go over the user flow really quick, but as you can see, it's pretty simple. There's 4 steps for just signing up to create an account. On your first visit to a website, you'll see an option to sign up using a hardware authenticator. So you'd select that option, and then you'd be presented with a QR code, which you could then use the CoreKey app to scan. And then once you've done that, your phone and your desktop are paired, basically. So then on future logins, which is this slide, on future logins, you would just, again, click the option to sign in, this time using your sign in with CoreKey or hardware authenticator. And then instead of having to input a password, it would just send a request to your phone, which you would authenticate with a biometric or tapping the request, and then you're logged in. So yeah, and then as for the UI, it's pretty simple because the goal of the app is that you shouldn't have to interact with it often. You can see up here, it'll display your account sites that you have, and then there's a little tab on the side, a little settings drawer that you can open, and there will be the option to pair with your device and toggle notifications and log out.
So highlighting some challenges we faced and conquered. The first was to turn a phone into an authenticator. phones are not inherently hardware authentication devices, so we needed to emulate that using a desktop application. And we communicate from the phone to the desktop application using FCM, which is Firebase Cloud Messaging. It's completely wireless. We originally went with USB, but we pivoted to FCM because it's much more convenient. And the way we do that is with a QR code pairing. And so now that we have the messaging part handled, what exactly do we need to send from phone to desktop to browser? And we do that with a bunch of encodings, a bunch of different, basically we need to speak the same language as a Fido 2 Alliance site would expect us, and we would need to speak the same language as a YubiKey would communicate with a Fido 2 site. And so the way we do that is we use the same encodings, we use the same formatting, and we use, also to keep it secure, we need to use the same level of cryptography and the same cryptographic functions and algorithms.
We also faced a challenge in inter-process communication. This is on the desktop client side of things. Most of our USB emulation was written in Go, and the Go part of the code wasn't compatible with Firebase Cloud Messaging as a client. So knowing that our web app or our desktop client was a web app, we opted to use WebSockets to communicate between the web app and the Go emulation.
So as a quick review of the technologies we used, we wrote the mobile app and the desktop app in Flutter, and that uses the language Dart. We use Firebase Cloud Messaging to communicate between the two. We use Xcode and Android Studio for emulation and testing. We implement the WebAuthn standard, and we use USB IP and Go for USB emulation, as well as the sockets.
Okay, now for the demo. So we have 3 things here. This is our desktop client, and as you can see, we still need to pair our phone with it. This will be the phone screen. And over here are some examples of websites that implement the WebAuthn API. So let me go ahead and start pairing with the desktop client. Open up the app, we choose pair with a new device, and now we scan the QR code. So we should receive a prompt that asks us for authentication. Unfortunately, it's a black screen because Android kind of blocks the authentication prompt. But what we just received was a biometric prompt. So now that we're paired with the desktop client, we can go ahead and choose a website to register with. Let's try this one out. So browser just sent a challenge to our authenticator. We received a prompt. We want to register, so I'll go ahead and accept that. And some information is exchanged, such as a certificate, a validation, all sorts of stuff. So we're registered now. We can see that we now have that website on our list of accounts. Let's go ahead and try logging in now. There we go, browser's just about to issue a challenge. There we go, received the prompt. Let's log in. Ooh. Let's try that again. Okay, slight hiccup. Let's try a different site. Register with this site. There we go. Log in. Okay. Okay, this slight hiccup with logging in. Video demo? Okay. That's unfortunate. Okay.
Yes, this one. So in an ideal world, this is what it would end up looking like, where you enter your credential. Look over at his phone, and it's going to prompt his fingerprints. Once that information is exchanged, then the credential is created, and if he wants to log in again. So the thing about this website is that it's kind of a testing site. It actually like shows you the information being moved from the authenticator to the website to the relying party servers. It's actually much faster without the whole pretty animations, but it's kind of a good visualization of it. So that's our conclusion here. You got the security of a hardware authenticator, but it's the convenience of it all being built into your mobile app. Of course, some thank yous are in order. Shout out to Bernie, Maria, Chad, and Rita from Authenticate. We could not have done it without you. The core staff, of course, and Kellyanne, who made a great logo for us. So this is when we open the floor to some questions. Yeah, of course.
The demo will not work.
Yeah.
It's
That's just how it goes. That's why you always record a video.
So, kudos to you for trying to do it live, but you're not the first one to fail. Question, Dante. Yeah, so I was wondering, so if you lose the phone, though.
Thank you for asking that. Okay, so this is a kind of like deep question. The problem with losing a hardware authenticator, this is a problem that companies like Yubico have not solved. The thing about hardware authenticators, especially one built into your phone, is that we believe you're a lot less likely to lose your phone than you are to, say, forget a password. The fact that it's built into your phone, we think you're a lot more likely to lose a YubiKey than you are to lose your phone, right? But it happens. What if you do lose your phone? What you can do is you can back up your key somewhere, whether that be another instance of CoreKey or on a hardware device like a YubiKey, and you can sync them back up again once you get a new instance of CoreKey.
So I guess just to follow up, do they get access to your passwords if you lose, or?
No, they don't. All of the private keys are stored on the phone. If the phone is destroyed or lost or something, they would need to unlock the phone to get in there. Yeah.
All right. Question? Now, I saw that you were originally looking at USB and kind of moved over to what protocol it was.
FCM?
Yeah, can you describe, does it require it to be on the same network as the computer? Does it need to be proximity close by?
It doesn't require proximity per se, but it is something that can be implemented using Bluetooth or even a USB wire. But Firebase cloud messaging by itself does not require proximity.
Question. Yeah, so you guys said you implemented the web authentication standard.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say a site implements that too. So does that mean you can use this along with that site?
Yes, that is correct. Any kind of login where you can use a hardware authenticator, you can use CoreKey.
And do those, I don't know, but do they have the primary login?
You like your hardware is your primary authenticator with no password?
Yeah, because in my experience, those are used for two-factor.
They're not as widespread as they could be, but in the future, this is kind of where we see the web heading, where no passwords at all.
Does any,
Right now, no. A lot of our testing has been done on kind of WebAuth and demo sites, and that's because you'd kind of be hard pressed to find a website that'd be very happy with us making dozens of accounts per day in terms of testing. So. Yeah.
Test. All right, hello everybody. We are Ford Ignite, making the blockchain a safer place. My name is Colin Millar.
I'm Nicholas. I'm John.
I'm Andy.
I'm Alejandro.
And our company is Fido, with our mentor being Christian Seifert. So what is the blockchain? The blockchain is a new emerging technology that allows users to make financial transactions in a decentralized manner. So what is decentralized? Decentralized basically means that there is no controlling agency, such as a bank or government, that is controlling funds. And thus, it makes the user themselves very, very powerful, as they could do any sort of financial transactions within this blockchain, such as buying assets, loaning money, or even creating cryptocurrencies or token. However, there is a high amount of risk for abuse within a system like this, as although there are security measures, the amount of crime that exists within this decentralized network is very high as a result of the lack of a centralized agency. This can allow a lot of people to put malicious smart contracts within the system that can lead to potential scams known as rug pulls.
A rug pull is when a scammer creates a seemingly lucrative crypto token and then convinces users to buy them. Then, without warning, the scammer can liquidate the buyer's tokens, whether through preventing them from selling their tokens or even burning tokens. This allows scammers to easily steal money at the user's expense. So why should we care? According to Solidus Labs, just from September to December 2022, over 200,000 scam tokens were deployed on the blockchain, interacting with around $11 billion. Even worse, traditional methods of detecting these scam tokens miss around 99% of rug pulls. This makes interacting with blockchain tokens extremely risky.
So currently, there are very limited approaches when it comes to rug pull detection. So there are things like internet postings where users will research legitimacy of a token online, but it's very difficult to identify reliable sources of information. On top of that, it's very easy for scammers to deliberately post misleading information as well. There's transaction analysis, where rug pulls will be identified by looking at the transaction history of a particular token. But this only reveals a scam once the rug pull's already taken place and doesn't really help to prevent it. So how can we help? So we've been working with Forda, which provides a service that makes detection bot development a lot more accessible. Basically allows developers to create bots that can analyze smart contracts and transactions on the blockchain. Now what our bot does is uses static analysis to analyze a token smart contract as soon as it's deployed to a particular network. It will then send out alerts when it detects a feature in the contract that can be exploited. Now these features may exist in legitimate contracts as well. The difference is when it's included maliciously, it's often hidden. So knowing that it's included can help the user to avoid those. Fido is also integrated with a wallet provider, and what this means is that users are able to receive warnings before they even interact with the malicious smart contract, so they can avoid those.
So why are we better than the current approaches? Well, first of all, is our speed. Since we analyze the source code of the token, we can detect potential rug pulls before the user buys a token. Well, how's this done? Well, as soon as a potential malicious token functionality is detected, our bot will send out an alert to the user to warn them about the token that they're about to buy before they actually buy it. And another advantage that we have is that our bot is easy to use. Since Zengo Wallet is integrated with Fido, the user gets alerts as soon as they interact with the wallet, with the token. So there's many ways scammers could do rug pulls, but we detected 3 main ones. The first one we detected is hidden mint. And the reason we detect hidden mints is usually how a scammer does hidden mint is that they have a function that they're secretly minting more tokens, in the sense they're producing more token while at the same time devaluing the token for everyone else. It's like printing infinite amount of money. And then another thing that scammers could sometimes do is have a burn function where they're secretly destroying the token forever without the user knowledge, without everyone else knowledge. So it could say that the owner owns 1% of the total supply, but in reality, if they're burning tokens secretly without anyone else knowing, they could have a higher percentage owning of the circulating supply. And another thing that we detect for is self-destruct. And usually what a scammer does with self-destruct is once they steal your money, they self-destruct the whole token, so there's no way for you to ever get your money back.
All right, let's take a quick look at what our bot looks like in action.
From the Fido homepage, we can go to the Fido Explorer, which has all the bots on the Fido network. We can take a look now at the Fortnite rug pull detector, which is our bot. From the bot description page, we can see a list of information about the bot, including a graph of the transactions that's processed and a list of the past alerts. From this button, you can view the bot's source code. This is helpful if you want to understand how the bot works and whether or not you can trust its outputs. If you decide this bot is right for you, you can click on the subscribe to a bot button, which will then prompt you to sign in with MetaMask. And after that, you can see this page, which allows you to customize your alerts by filtering by addresses you care about and subscribing to other bots. You can also sign up to receive notifications via email, Slack, Discord, or Telegram. For this example, I'll be signing up for alerts via email. Now that I'm subscribed, let's take a look at how the bot works in action. So here is an example rug pull smart contract. From looking at the code, it looks pretty standard, just a classic ERC20 token. If we take a closer look at the burn function, we can see that they're actually incrementing total supply and increasing the balance of the account passed as a parameter by the amount. This is called a hidden mint because they're actually creating new tokens for this account. Now, let's see if our bot can detect it. So we're going to deploy this contract to the Polygon network. Now, after a few minutes, once the contract has been uploaded and verified, we should receive an email saying that our bot has detected a hidden mint contract. Here's the email that I received. It is information about what type of contract functionality we detected, and it has the address of the contract that contains this functionality. So let's take a look at that contract on Polygon Scan. As we can see, this is the contract that we just uploaded, so our bot correctly detected the hidden mint.
Yeah. Now, our bot has a lot of potential for future development. The way our static analysis currently works is we have a parser, and then we do analysis on the abstract syntax tree, but we have coded all of our static analysis tools by hand. So for future development, we could improve our detectors by including more advanced static analysis techniques from pre-built libraries that include control flow and value flow analysis to help create more robust detectors. Another potential thing that could be improved is using our detector results as input to a machine learning model to help improve the precision of the alerts. Because at the moment, our alerts give you information about the contract, but they don't necessarily decide whether or not the contract is malicious. So using a machine learning model could help precisely determine whether or not the contract is malicious rather than simply giving you information about the contract to guide your judgment. Finally, we could create more detectors to detect other rug pull strategies, because we detected a few of the big ones, but there's plenty of other ones that could be expanded on with more development time. Now let's take a look at what our bot does do. It's very fast. Once the source code has been downloaded, it takes on average 1.45 seconds to analyze the contract. Now if we look at our detectors, we ran our detectors on a sample of malicious smart contracts that included the functionality that we were looking for, and it detected a large majority of them for our detectors. And then as far as false positive rate, we ran our bot on a sample of contracts that do not contain this functionality to make sure we don't have too many false positives, because since rug pulls are a low percentage of the total tokens, it's important to have a low false positive rate so that we're not just alerting so many times on contracts that don't actually have these features. Don't get scammed, use Fortnite. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, so we have a parser, so we get the AST, and we're searching through the AST for certain patterns that are indicative of these contract functionalities.
I have a question, obviously. And my question is, so what prevents me, since you're using static analysis, to create, very obscure and complex data structure that would make your analysis unscalable?
Yeah, that's definitely an issue with a lot of security, is that if you know what the analysis is, you can definitely write a contract to get around it. So it's kind of a issue inherent to security. We got to keep updating the bot to account for new ways. But with more robust detectors, it'll get harder and harder for them to find ways around it and create malicious.
Right. I would have expected an answer that says complexity on the blockchain doesn't work because it would cost a lot of gas, but I guess.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of ways to get around it without making complexity.
All right. Other questions?
Hi, my name is Jason.
Hi, my name is Arman.
I'm Rahul.
My name is Yvonne.
We have the pleasure and honor of working with the Capstone staff as well as Nasty these past 2 quarters on our project. So let's jump right into it. So we're all familiar with the common problem of things breaking and things getting old, unlike you young, attractive people. When these things happen, you need someone to repair and someone to replace. The issue is when these people are too far from you, they're out of reach. So our project, Sum Up, deals with the problem of long-distance maintenance. So this occurs for 2 main reasons. One, a specialist on certain equipment is too far from that very equipment, and the mechanics nearby are not trained enough in that equipment to work on it. So for example, let's take the Navy. So if you have a ship here, and the ship is having a broken generator, and it's off the coast of Australia, and the only person in the world who can fix it is in Florida, then the Navy would fly this specialist out from Florida to Australia to fix it and then back. So although this solves the problem, it has a few drawbacks. It's slow, it's costly, and it's logistically challenging. They have to meet up with the specialist in coordinated time with their busy schedules, and they also have to pay for a flight there and a flight back, which is a lot of money and time wasted.
See, now, you've already seen the drawbacks of air travel, right? It's not exactly the most efficient. Well, there's got to be better alternatives. There's already a lot of existing technologies. Why not use those? Well, obviously, there have been tested alternatives, one of which, I'm sure you're all familiar, is Zoom. The problem with Zoom is it can be challenging to try and convey what you're saying. So let's say, for example, I'm trying to help Daniel figure out this whole mess of wires. And let's say I tell Daniel, grab the black wire. He might say, which wire? I might say, the one that's closest to you. But which one's the closest to him? And I got to specify more and more, multiple times throughout the whole conversation. And that's not going to happen just once. It's going to happen multiple times. Not exactly efficient, is it? So our project will remove that ambiguity and make it a lot more efficient.
Introducing LEGS, Local Equipment Guidance System. The primary goal of our application is to improve the interaction between the remote specialist and the on-site mechanic using AR technology. We have features that include live audio and video feedback that allows both the specialist and mechanic to talk and see what they're actually doing. We also have the ability for the specialist to be able to interact with the mechanic's environment using AR annotations. The mechanic is also able to interact with their environment with the use of drawing. They also have the ability to identify and detect objects using object detection. Here's a visual diagram of what our application can do. Instead of using a plane to bring the specialist over to where the mechanic is, the mechanic has a HoloLens and the specialist has the computer, and all they do is talk via video and audio.
All right, now that you've seen a short summary of what our application can do, we're going to have a live demonstration to show you in person how we can repair that model car over there using our technology.
Cool. So in our scenario, Daniel's our mechanic whose RC car is broken. I will act as a specialist. As a specialist, this is what I can see: the local equipment guidance name, start server, and the IP address. The IP address is what we should share to the mechanic in order for him to connect to the call. So let's go and start the server. My voice is here. It is. Cool. And it looks like the HoloLens is connected. So what seems to be the issue, Daniel?
Yes, my little brother dropped his car, and it won't rotate anymore, so when it's not rotating the wheels, it's kind of sad.
Cool. So the mechanic is able to draw and interact with his environment. So could you show me where your workspace is at? What do you have?
Cool. So this is the car here. And here are the materials that fell out of it.
Okay, perfect. As the receiver, or as the specialist, we can place markers down to help indicate where the mechanic should look at. So it seems like this car is missing a screw in the middle center console right here. Let me place a marker right there. Right. It's not working. Usually in the HoloLens environment, it has to use a graphic mesh in order to map out what they can see. So sometimes we will need to have a larger distance and a larger view of what the table should act like. So should you stand back and just let it kind of render? Look around the table and the environment, and just let the mesh kind of re-enter. It takes a while because it has to map a lot of polygons and stuff just to map what the environment is like. And let's see if this would work. Cool. That seems to be looking good. Let's sit back down and see if this would work. So let's try to fix the center console. Let's place the marker right here. It's not working. Let me try to reset the call. You've connected back, and let's see. No. Let's go over. The call. Okay, let's go on to a video demonstration, as it seems like the HoloLens cannot put the mesh down.
All right, so now you've seen a little bit of what our application can do in a real-time scenario. Let's see how it can apply to real-world scenarios with bigger machines in the real world.
All right, hello. And to reiterate, here's a video demo of a remote maintenance operation on my 2009 Honda Accord to refill its wiper fluids. Now, if you see here, we have an object detection. We can go from CAD model to 3D object detection in real time in an augmented space. All right, and now here you see our specialist, right, directing me to unlock the hood. Yeah, the hood lock. Just slide it there. And now she's directing me to lift open the hood as opposed to lifting down the hood. All right, it's very important. And now she's directing me to prop open the hood prop to keep the hood upright as opposed to falling down. And now she's directing me to rotate the wiper cap clockwise, and I could tell that from the marker in that direction, in that area. And at this point of time, she's now directing me to fill in the wiper fluids into the funnel. And now, finally, we can see that this operation has been successfully completed. Now press this button. And now let's go into something a bit more fun. Here is a high-level overview of our system/solution to this problem. Now, there are three entities in this system. There is the PC client, there is the HoloLens client, and there is a signaling server between the two. Now, it should be noted at this point of time that our system is a peer-to-peer system, meaning that the signaling server's only purpose in this system is to facilitate the handshake between the PC client and the HoloLens client. Now, after the handshake, the PC client and HoloLens clients are now able to directly connect between each other and are now able to exchange video, audio, and other miscellaneous data between the two. It should be noted at this point of time that this connection between the PC client and the HoloLens client no longer touches the signaling server, okay? Now remember, the signaling server's only purpose is to facilitate the handshake between the PC client and the HoloLens client. If the server were to die, the connection between the HoloLens and the PC client will still be able to continue. We are decentralizing from one point of attack to multiple points of attack, all right? If the head dies, the body will still be able to function.
All right, so you've seen a lot of the features of our application. What are the benefits? What are the competitive advantages that we hold over other existing technologies? And we have four main advantages, and we're going to get into that. The first one is interactivity. You've seen three of our features. The first one is object detection, the other one is marker placement, and the other one is 3D drawing. All three of these are not functional, not there in existing solutions, and our solution allows for the increased interactivity by having these features. The next one is improved response time. As you've seen, we don't need to ship an expert halfway around the world to solve a remote maintenance problem. Especially in corporate or military scenarios, this could take days or even weeks to find a suitable person to get a replacement. We don't have any of that. A specialist can work from the comfort of their home or office and can get a maintenance call that would take a week done in a day. Another complement to that is reduced costs. Taking less time costs less. These people are expensive. Specialists cost $400, $500 an hour. When you don't have to pay for their travel expenses halfway around the world, you save a lot of money. And that's our main goal. We save your business money by not having to ship experts halfway around the world. And building off that, we're also scalable. Our peer-to-peer framework allows for multiple clients to be connected to the same server while not requiring the server load to be too high. This means that we can scale our application to include thousands of clients at once without having to build so many servers across the world as you would with other services such as Zoom.
Now that we've shown you that our project, Legs, has a lot of innovative features that can be used for remote maintenance, the remote maintenance problem, our interactive features and intuitive interface, with those, our project Legs can act as an alternative to the current air travel needed for on-site repairs. So remember, when something needs fixing and the expert's not around, don't use planes, use Legs.
And before we jump to questions, I just want to reiterate, because you saw half of our live demo. We're going to try to do the other half while you ask us questions. So if you don't have any questions, just sit back and enjoy. And if you do have any questions, we're happy to learn. Yeah.
Cool, let's go over the demo. Let's start off from where we were last time. So it seems like the center console is broken, and let me just place it right there. Great. Let's place the cog. Let's place the cog facing outwards. Cool. Now it seems like the cog is placed perfectly in its center console, and let's place that lid back down. As a specialist, I should know this. It should be clockwise. So as he's doing this, the receiver or the specialist has a first-hand perspective on what the mechanic is doing. This is to help eliminate errors and also provide more clarity and transparency on what the mechanic is actually doing. Pretty good, you know? Pretty simple, huh? This app, Legs, is really good. Cool, yeah, seems like it's pretty done. Just test it out. Yes. Now that the repair is successful, we can just end the call.
All right.
I can answer that. Huh? Oh, yeah. Can you repeat the question? Oh, you want me to repeat the question or him to repeat the question?
Perhaps I should answer this question, considering I was the one who figured out the raycasting for that. It is technically from here to that first row of chairs. Or no.
Go.
Okay, the markers are fixed at this point of time. They are very easy to be scalable, however, programmatically wise. But for the purpose of our implementation at this point of time, we did not implement a feature to have the markers be scalable.
And I just want to add on to that. You could very easily have a feature where you can get the z distance of how far you're placing the marker and scale it based off that. It's conceptually very simple. So that is definitely a possibility. Yeah. Yes, our call transmits audio. We just have it muted because otherwise it causes a horrible feedback loop.
Hello.
Yeah.
Perhaps I should answer this question.
Yes.
All right. So MixedWebRTC, which is the library that we are using to facilitate the networking between the real-time communications between the HoloLens and the PC client, does support multiple connections. However, at this point of time, we don't have the time and resources to implement that. We ran out of time. Give me $100,000, I'll do it.
Also, just to add on to that, just this application uses almost, where's the HoloLens? Oh, it's over there. Yeah, just this application uses almost all of the HoloLens processing capabilities. To add another client to interface with and communicate with would also probably not be able, we wouldn't be able to do it with this HoloLens 2.
All right, thank you.
Here's the clicker. Let's just leave it here. I was just trying not to like stay. Oh wait.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Today, we're going to be presenting our team's Capstone project, which we call Saloth. My name is Aaron Embries.
My name's Jason.
I'm Robert G.
I'm Mauricio Munoz.
I'm Isaiah Gamma.
I'd also like to take the time today to thank our sponsor of our Capstone project, which was Appfolio. They were able to provide us with a great team of mentors for the entirety of our 2-quarter project. So a very special thank you to Wade Veracio, David Waits, Graham Preston, and Justin Pearson. So before jumping into Saloth and our motivation to go through with this project, I'd like to talk a bit about the current state of authentication. First, we're all familiar with the current facial recognition software living in our phones, such as Apple's Face ID. However, in most cases, this software is locked to the OS's ecosystem, making it inconvenient for developers to implement this software into their applications for all their users. Second, password managers have been very popular within the past decade or so, but in recent years, they have been proven to be prone to attacks and data breaches. Lastly, two-factor authentication has been proven to be effective, but not well received by users. With Saloth, we hope to combine convenience and functionality into an agnostic facial recognition service.
So our mission is to solve user authentication with face scan technology. Website developers can use our service to implement a sign-in with Saloth button, which makes the sign-in process quick and easy.
So let's take a quick look at our demo to see Saloth in action.
This is the sign-in process users have to deal with today. You type in multiple passwords, hoping you're guessing the right one for this site. Frustratingly, you guess incorrectly too many times. Now you have to reset your password. But it doesn't have to be that way. Have to reset another password, huh? Yeah. Haven't you heard of Saloth? Saloth is an authentication service that gets rid of passwords altogether. Signing in is easy. Just create your account, scan your face, and you're done. Then you'll be able to log in with just your face on any website that has a sign in with Saloth button. Ever since I signed up, I've never had to remember another password again.
Once I signed up, logging into a website was so much easier. The process involves clicking the Sign In with Saloth button on whatever third-party website that supports it, which then lets me take a picture of myself to let Saloth handle the rest of the process before taking me back to the website. So, what if you don't have a camera available on your computer? Don't worry, Saloth has security too. With their mobile authentication feature from their app, you can also direct Saloth to use your phone's camera to verify yourself. After the photo is taken, you You just wait to get notified that you're authenticated, and within a few seconds, the process begins again, and you'll be signed in.
So as you saw in the demo, the Sailoth experience begins at the login step of third-party websites. Users will click a Sign in with Sailoth button, which redirects them to their laptop or mobile camera. Their face will then be scanned and tokenized by Amazon Recognition. And if their token exists within our database, then we log users into their account.
All right, so now if you had a website and you wanted to implement a sign in with Sailoth button, what would you do? So first off, you'd have to go to sailoth.com, where you would then be able to create a use case configuration where you'd input your website's needs. Then we would give you back a configurable web component, which you would then be able to implement into a sign in with Sailoth button on your website. So in our demo, you saw us using an iPhone 14 Pro Max to use Sailoth. But not all cameras are able to be used with Sailoth. We have a few minimum camera requirements. So first off, the camera has to be at least able to take photos in 1080p. This is because if a camera is too low resolution, we won't be able to recognize all the different facial features that are required to run facial recognition. We also require that your camera has some sort of depth sensing technology built into it. This is so that you can't just sign in by taking a photo of a photo to be able to sign in. You have to be taking a photo of your actual face to sign in. Finally, similar to the reason for why you need to be able to have 1080p, the photo also needs to be near to your face to be able to sign in. This is because if you're too far away, your face will be too low resolution to be able to accurately recognize. So some of the key features of Sailoth. So first off, it is cross-platform. So while other facial recognition software, or like Apple's like Face ID, is isolated to its own OS, Sailoth can be run on any platform. As long as it meets the minimum camera requirements that I just mentioned, it can be run on iOS, Android, PC, or any other device that you want to use. We also value your privacy. So all the images that you take to sign in with Sailoth never get saved anywhere. We only save the facial feature vectors that are used to recognize your face. Also, all data is encrypted before it's sent. Finally, we can guarantee an average of a 5.2 second sign-in time with Sailoth, as long as you have at least the US average internet speed.
So as a developer, why do you care? Why would you go through the trouble of standing up our product? Because it's no trouble at all. With a focus on easy integration, as mentioned before, you just pick a use case and you are given the ability to code a button into the website you are using, and you can, Sailoth will handle the rest of the authentication for you. Security. Everybody cares about their customers' data, so making sure that that is secure is one of the best ways to retain your customers. Facial authentication offers that, as well as there are optional security measures, such as retinal scanning, if you want to increase the security beyond that. Scalability. Sailoth is built on a cloud-based infrastructure, which allows for pay-as-you-go pricing, so it doesn't matter what size website you have, we can fit your demands. So what about as a user? Well, you care because it's a convenient login process. You've seen how easy it is to not have to type in a PIN or a passcode into your, say, iPhone, and you can just use your face to sign in. Everyone agrees it's a lot quicker. We offer that, as well as security. Facial authentication is more secure than passwords, which gives you the confidence that your data is secure. And what about password managers? Well, while both of them rely on a master access key, password managers still rely on a password, so just get rid of passwords altogether and let Sailoth do facial authentication for you.
Yeah, so now I'd like to cover a few frequently asked questions. So what if two users look very alike? How would they
how do we make sure that they're accessing their own data? So in the future, we'd like to implement retinal scanning because a combination of a retinal scan and your face scan should be able to uniquely identify anybody, even identical twins. So what about picture spoofing? So as Robert mentioned earlier, that'd be like someone holding up a photo of you in front of the camera, hoping to sign in as you. So that is why we have a depth requirement on our cameras, because the machine learning model in AWS that we're using requires an image and depth information for that image. So flat picture won't be verified. And what's the cost to developers? We touched on this a bit earlier as well. Built on cloud technologies, we're able to offer a pay-as-you-go system. So if you have 10 users, you're paying for 10 users. If you have 1 million users, you'll pay accordingly as well. So in summary, Saloth brings or makes facial authentication technology readily available to developers. And in just a few steps, developers are able to implement a sign-in with Saloth button into their apps and websites and bring a more secure and convenient login process to their users. So forget lengthy login times and forgetting passwords. You can leave that in the past. Just start using Saloth and let your face be your password. So thank you all for listening. We hope you'll join us in the future where you can just look and log in. So that's not currently something that we had time to implement. We did discuss it at first, but just in 6 months to design a whole product and implement it, it's hard to get all the features you want in there. But yeah, that's definitely something we could implement in the future. Yeah, so if you accidentally shook your hand while you were taking the photo or something like that, you have the option to retake it. Right, so the whole point is that you can sign in even with your face to our service as well. Yeah.
A friend of mine says you should always use two-factor authentication. So can you integrate with the two-factor authentication system?
Yeah, so you can easily integrate a two-factor authentication system by making it so that if you're signing in from a new device, you would have to use a two-factor authentication method. And so if someone, takes a picture of you while you're sleeping with a correct, they open your eyes and get you in the correct position somehow, if they try signing in with that picture on their device, they would still have to, go through a two-factor authentication step.
All right, thank you.
Good. All right, hello everyone. Over the past 2 quarters, we worked with Artera to build Physio. We are team Back to Health. I am Garrett Peak, I'm the team lead.
I'm Nicholas Winstead.
I'm Martin Cabello.
I'm Mikey Curtis.
I'm Shen Wang.
So, odds are you or someone you know have utilized outpatient physical therapy
to help recover from some sort of musculoskeletal injury. And that's because PT works. It's really useful for pain relief, improved function, improved mobility, proper alignment, and it can even prevent the need for surgery and the dependence on pain medications. What's interesting is over 50% of Americans every single year develop some sort of musculoskeletal injury that lasts longer than 3 months. However, only about 9.6% of these people utilize outpatient physical therapy. So in considering the aforementioned benefits of PT, it leaves us with the question of why don't more people use it?
And to address that, we can talk about some of the downsides of PT as well as sort of the impetus of this project. So last year, my brother Kyler got in a car accident, leaving his lower spine impinged and the lower half of his body without almost any mobility. Thankfully, over time, over about the past 9 months, he was able to get most of his mobility walk and can now, thankfully, almost walk without assistance. The first issue we ran into during this whole process was poor accessibility. So upon leaving the hospital, our insurance was only willing to cover roughly the first month of twice-a-week PT visits. By the end of that time, he had seen very little progress. But by that time, they reduced him down to only twice a month. And during this whole time, he had very low motivation. He had just left the hospital, he was heavily sedated all the time, he was struggling with the depression of losing his legs, and he had many doctors telling him over and over again that there was a very low chance that he would ever regain mobility in his legs. This motivation was very important during the beginning too. During the beginning of a physical therapy recovery, you need to maintain motivation because that's the time where you're able to recover the best. And if he had a way to track his mobility over time, especially during the very beginning, from just the smallest movements of his knees to being able to fully bend them and then eventually to walk, he would have been able to see the forest through the trees and been able to keep track of his recovery. And just like many of us, if you've ever lost weight or gained muscle, if you look at yourself in the mirror every day, you don't notice those small changes. If you're able to track, you're able to recover faster. Fourth, it was just plain boring. He had to do the same 5-6 exercises for hours a day, weeks on end, until he got better. And yeah.
Yeah. So currently, are there any existing solutions? Yes, we have, but they have their drawbacks. Like for the in-person appointments, it's very inconvenient for the patients to go to the hospital if they hurt their legs, or it's very hard to schedule an appointment with a doctor. And for the virtual appointments, they only have the simple progress tracking applications, and borrowing instruction will only reduce the patient's motivation to do the exercise. So what's our solution?
Yeah, so you've seen the current solutions, and now here's ours, Physio. Physio is the all-in-one application for users to stay on top of their PT and start feeling, moving, and living better. Through the computer vision, we're able to track a user's motions and gamify the physical therapy exercise experience, which will keep users more engaged and more motivated to complete their PT and continue on the road to recovery. In addition to our games, our unique mobile app allows users an easy way to track their current progress, get a quick snapshot of their recovery history for a given injury, manage their injuries, and also get a realistic timeline of expected recovery based on their progress and various metrics that are automatically tracked along the way. But enough talking about it. We've prepared a live demonstration of our technology to show you the physical therapy experience augmented with Physio.
So if we switch over to our demo, you can see to your guys' left, we have the screen of this computer right here running our desktop app, and to the right is the screen of my phone, which is connected to the desktop app through WebSockets through our backend. On the front page of our app, you can see that we have a 12-day streak, and we've been doing good on Monday and Tuesday, and we're yet to do our exercises today. We also have a list of reminders, and we can add and remove reminders and check them off. Next, we can head over to our progress over time page, where we can see on the top, we have pain ratings, and those are just submitted by the user. They let the user track how they're feeling over time and whether they're getting better. And then on the bottom, we have quantitative mobility ratings that we actually derive from our computer vision from our game. We have 2 injuries on this user. We have our bicep strain and our hamstring strain, and we can keep track of them separately. Now we can head over to our calendar page where we can see our current day's tasks. So we can log a pain level, or we can switch between our exercises to see, or switch between our injuries to see the different exercises that we can complete for each injury. So if we go to right bicep strain, we can go to bicep curls, and we can track motion, and I'll pass this off to Joe to show our tracker.
Yeah, you can see that on the phone. It's a start page for the game, and we can start games. Yeah. First, what we should remember is that we should keep our arm as straight as possible, and we can do an initial mobility check to see how many points we can get before we do the exercise. Yeah, we got 5.1, and we will try to do the exercise to see if we can have some improvements after we do that exercise. Yeah, you can see that the transparent arm is the instruction mode. What we need to do is to let our dark arm to follow the transparent arm, the instruction mode, and the sliding progress bar in the right side of the screen will increase when we are following the instruction mode, and the score will give the feedback for your arm, and it's perfect. And for this one, if we are not following it, and we can see that it's not good enough. And we have a final mobility checking to see if there are any improvements. Yep, we got some improvements after we do the exercise. And then we can choose to do remeasure, or we can end the game and go to the statistics page. And you can see that there's some final scores that we have. We have 11 points, and the initial mobility rating is the 5.1, and for the final is 7.0. So we get some improvements. And we can go to the chart page, and we can see that there's an update on the chart for this exercise. And next is a skippable game.
Yeah, so that was our first game. We have 2 prepared, and that one shows great extensibility to other exercises, right? That's just tracking your joint. So wherever you have a joint, we can track it, and we can make a game for it. But our second game is more immersive, and this is going to be for our right hamstring strain that we have loaded into the game, or into the app. So right here, we're going to go to our hamstring curls on the phone and play the game. Right, so we can see on the left side of the screen, or brought to the skee ball arcade. Right now, I'm not in frame of the camera, so we're in the incorrect position. So as I walk in, it should be ready to start, and I'm going to hit start on the phone, since it's our controller. We're taken to this demo video where this handsome gentleman is going to teach us how to do the motion. Right, so what we want to do is we want to face the camera, be about 45 degrees to the right, make sure that both legs are in view of the camera, and that's the motion we're going to be performing. We're just going to kick back slowly, and then back down. It should be about 4 to 5 seconds in total. And now we're brought to the arcade. Right, we're only going to do 4 since this is a demo. We've got to make it quick, but I'll perform the first motion. We'll go up and down, and as you can see, as I kick my leg, the ball goes 3 points. So I should slow down just a little bit. I want that 5 in the middle. That's going to be the optimal motion. So let's go for a 5. We'll do it a bit slower. All right, a little too fast again. And as you can see, the phone is displaying the score that we have right now. We can pause, we can play. This is great so that if a user's immobile, they don't have to get up, pause, everything. And we also have form detection, right? So if the user's standing kind of weird, right, we detect that and we basically tell them to just properly align themselves. So let's continue with the reps. Let's go a little fast on this one. All right, that was faster, and we got a 1. So let's see if I can get it perfect. Really focus. Okay, couldn't get it perfect this time. I guess I'm not the best. But after the game, we are brought to this analytics page where it's just going to give a basic readout of what we did during the exercise. We did 4 reps. I only got a score of 10 out of 20, not the greatest. All my reps were too fast. And we're given a recommendation on how to better perform the motion next time so that we can get better faster. And that's our demonstration.
So why Physio? Physio is the best all-in-one application that can let the users be engaged and motivated doing their exercises, and also keep them on track and let them know the progress throughout the recovery timeline. As you have seen in our game, with the use of the in-game analytics page and the user feedback for incorrect form, not only is our app trying to engage and entertain the user, but also making sure it's serving its main purpose, which is to get healthier, improve on the injury. In Physio, our games do get harder or easier depending on your mobility rate, which makes Physio very adaptable to different injury severenesses. In Physio, we also help provide recovery estimation times. And that is very helpful in our all-in-one app, because usually different doctors and different websites give you different estimates for the same injury, which could lead to a lot of confusion. And Physio also offers a user-friendly UI, and with the use of our score streak system, we can encourage and motivate the user to come back and continue doing PT with our Physio.
And so finally, we can talk about the technology we used. We have our game running on Unity, our mobile app running on Flutter using the Dart language, and then our backend is a Node.js running Express.js server with a Prisma layer to a PostgreSQL database, all running in a Docker container, all deployed on fly.io. And we run WebSockets on that server to connect the phone and the computer in real time. And that's all. We are Physio, move better, live better. Thank you.
Questions? Yes. So you mentioned that people get tired of doing the same activities over and over again, but wouldn't that still be the case if you're just playing the same game over and over again?
So the idea is they're playing the same game. They do have to do these exercises. At the end of the day, like PT, there's only so many things you can do to bend this knee. We just want to make bending that knee more fun.
Yeah, totally. So the joint tracking works with anything. So you could hold a bicep during the bicep curls, or put a resistance band on your knee when doing the hamstring curls, which is another use for it. If you wanted to use it in the gym for form tracking or something, it's another potential use for the technology.
So the idea is that Physio augments the outpatient part of physical therapy. So it's not that you don't have a physical therapist. It could be in the future. That would be a great direction we could turn to. But it's that you've gone to a physical therapist at least once, and they've given you exercises to do, and you simply input what the doctor told you to do into our app, and then we assist you in doing it. We keep you motivated, and we let you make those exercises more fun. We would have a list of possible exercises as well as trackers and games, and then when you're assigned an exercise by your doctor, you would simply select it from the list and add it to your regimen. So our tracking system is not perfect yet. We keep our arm out to the side to increase how our camera sees it. We really just track this joint, and so if you want to put your arm in any position, you can. Of course, the position can matter for certain exercises. So for the skee ball game, we do have form detection, so you have to have square hips. You can't be like this, and you can't have your left leg bent. And so we just, as long as it's healthy, that's the form you have to do. Haven't particularly thought about that, but if we were to monetize this, we would likely monetize it through physical therapy offices. And so a physical therapist could offer this service, or really just the user could download this service for potentially free or be covered by insurance.
open mic.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to our presentation. We are Sybil. My name is Sahil. I'm here with Skylar, Ruthvik, Jake, and Robin. And a special thank you to our mentors at AppFolio, Kobe, Jackie, Tyler, and Justin, and to the core staff at UCSB.
So for our project, we were working with AppFolio. They're a company that maintains property management software, and we were approached with the problem of property manager accounting data. Essentially, property managers are overwhelmed with a large volume of property-related accounting data that are just sitting in databases with valuable insights into the financial and operational health of their properties. However, property managers need an intuitive medium to understand their vast accounting data sets. The current approach is to inspect their accounting data through tabular reports, which currently it requires them to go through row by row through all their entries in their database by hand. This approach inherently requires a lot of time to get an understanding of the trends that may exist in their data set. Further, property managers come from diverse backgrounds, so they don't necessarily have the technical knowledge needed to leverage machine learning, which is a steep barrier preventing many of these property managers from leveraging predictive insights on those vast accounting data sets. And so property managers need tools to easily understand their large accounting data sets and to make financial projections on them.
With that, our solution is Sybil, which at its core is a machine learning-driven and customizable accounting dashboard that allows property managers to interactively visualize their large amounts of data with new predictive insights and forecasts on them. On the dashboard, property managers can view graphs of all their data separated by their specific category. And for each graph, they can view clearly and easily see a distinction between what is their historical data and what are our model's future projections for that specific category. This way, property managers can easily see visual trends in their data and derive meaningful insights from them to make more informed and faster business decisions. The actual models that generate these projections are trained on user-specific property management data to ensure that these predictions are actually accurate. To be more specific on functionality, the dashboard will contain several key metrics in the form of several different chart formats, and these will give a good understanding of your general accounting health. For example, one metric we provide is a pie chart that represents a cost breakdown of all your general ledger accounts, or GL accounts. For context, GL accounts are the specific categories of accounting data that a property manager might have. In that middle dropdown, you can see that electricity is one such GL account, which represents electricity expenditures. All of these GL accounts can be selected from that dropdown and viewed as a graph on your customizable dashboard. You can also search for a specific GL account by name in that same dropdown, as well as filter your graph data by a specific time range to view it in a different scope of data. Additionally, property managers can input their own historical data as a new CSV file and then view it as a new graph on their dashboard.
So for the machine learning, we essentially built a pipeline where we first pulled the raw property-related accounting data from AppFolio and did some pre-processing on that. So for that, we did feature extraction, data filtering, and data aggregation to essentially transform the data into something more readily trainable, as you can see from the middle two graphs. We then created our models and exported that to the backend for inferences, and also we have some post-training metric computation ahead of that. Now, in order to evaluate the performance of our models, we need to understand that our data is 1, very spiky, 2, very prone to outliers, and 3, the data ranges varies a lot across different categories. So we're using normalized root mean squared error, and in general, we're looking for an NRMSE value of less than 0.4. So for both profit and random forest, you can see across all GL accounts on average, we are able to get an NRMSE value of around 0.25. So we can say with some confidence that our models are predicting fairly accurately on the data.
So here's our architecture for our app Sybil. So in the front end, we used React framework, and we leveraged the HighCharts library to help with visualization. And then we used a Django on the back end, which allowed connection to our ML models in Profit, as well as our data in the PostgreSQL database. Then we used Heroku to host the backend and Firebase to host the front end. We used GitHub for development, and we used Docker to containerize our machine learning application.
So now we're going to go ahead and demonstrate our application Sybil. Throughout this demo, Skylar is going to go ahead and take on the role of a property manager, and he's going to ask me some questions from time to time.
Hey Rutvik, can you tell me a little bit more about Sybil?
Sure. As a property manager, you can go ahead and log in on our landing page. We use Auth0 to facilitate login. It essentially provides us with the secure medium and allows for the creation of new users very easily. Once you're done logging in, you're greeted with the dashboard that is populated with the historical data from your accounting data.
This is awesome. I think I would leverage these metrics pretty often.
Yeah, so our dashboard provides user-friendly charts and key metrics that property managers frequently use when making decisions. For example, here are 3 of them. The first one is a cost breakdown pie chart that will essentially tell you how your expenses are distributed across all of your GL accounts. The next metric shows the top 5 categories with the greatest % change over the last 12 months. So property managers are aware of what their most volatile categories are when they're making decisions. And the last metric. Hello? Okay. And the last metric is revenue rate, which essentially tells you what your projected revenue looks like based on previously earned revenues.
That's awesome. I think these computed metrics I would often frequently visit. But is there any way to view my historical data?
Yes, go ahead and navigate to the drop-down menu in the top right corner of the dashboard. Over there, you can see a list of categories associated with your user data. Let's go ahead and select one of those categories and hit Add Chart, and it will populate a graph on your dashboard visualizing the historical data points from that category. And you can also go ahead and populate multiple of these graphs to compare trends between different categories in your data set. You also have the flexibility to move these graphs around the dashboard and resize them to whatever you find is comfortable. And we can also change the scope of the data that is being displayed on these graphs. Right now we're on a monthly scope, but if you want to see how your data is distributed across years, let's go ahead and select the year option. When we do that, the graphs transform into a more discrete format where you can see the total expenses associated with each year, which makes it a lot easier to visually understand any annual trends that exist in your data.
That's awesome that I can see my data as graphs instead of in tabular reports. But Rutvik, how do I use machine learning?
Well, I'm glad you asked. If you go ahead and look at the graph, next to the category, there's a drop-down where you can select a type of model and you can specify how far into the future you would like predictions for. For our case, let's go ahead and select profit, that machine learning model, and let's go ahead and select, let's say, 30 months into the future. Then when you hit the predict button, your graph is updated with projected data points. Property managers can very easily differentiate between their own historical data and any predicted data points by looking at the green and orange colored data points respectively.
That's awesome. I can see that electricity expenses trending downwards, so maybe that saved money can be spent elsewhere. But Rutvik, I don't have any machine learning experience. Will that be a problem for me?
No. Property managers on Sybil do not need any prior experience with machine learning to leverage its predictions. We provide a library of machine learning models that are pre-trained on common GL accounts used by AppFolio property managers, and we also provide a model inference page that details the various backends that we support and includes a bio about each specific model, and it details cases where certain models might supersede another. And so property managers can select the model that best fits their needs.
So Rutvik, I just acquired this new property. Is there any way I can import my new accounting data?
Yes, let's go ahead and navigate to the Input Data tab. When you get there, you can go ahead and specify a category title and a CSV file of data points. And then when we go ahead and select those, let's upload the data. And success, the data points have been added to your user database. Let's go ahead and navigate back to the dashboard and select this newly added category. Sewer repairs, add a chart, and there you go. You can visualize that new category very easily on the graph. And I also want you to take note of the key metrics. Let's go ahead and resize the cost breakdown pie chart, and you can see that there is a new slice associated with the category that we just uploaded. And so the key metrics that we provide property managers are responsive to any future data points that they might add. And that's our platform Sybil. Let's go ahead and get back to the presentation.
Thank you, Ravik and Skylar, for the demo. And now I want to talk about the impact we hope to have on how property managers view their financial data. First, we help them visualize their history by providing clear charts that shows their historical trends, even without data science background and knowledge from them. Second, we help them get insights to the present by helping property managers understand their property's financial health with industry standard key metrics and benchmarkings right on their dashboard when they log in. And lastly, we help them forecast to the future by providing machine learning-based inference and projections to their category-specific expenses so they can weather storms and project out their expenditures into the future.
So with that, here at Sybil, we aim to provide machine learning for property managers. Thank you.
So on the input data page, there is a file format that your CSV needs to adhere to, just like standard columns and X and Ys. But as far as any like things concerning the actual data points, no, I mean, you could apply whatever normalizations or pre-processing techniques that you want, but we'll just visualize the data points as we receive them. Yeah. Are you talking about the inference, like the lines that were coming out?
In your actual demo, like when you added a graph for a GL account,
Mm-hmm.
the data was highly repeated. Was it fabricated?
Are you talking about the data points that we added when we hit predict?
No, just the data we have.
Oh, just the data we have?
They're from real GL.
Yeah, they are from real GL accounts, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. What is the model that you found was most accurate in predicting the trend of specific expenses or other parameters of the property management system?
Yeah, so we have two models right now. One of them is Profit, which is made by Meta. So on average, the numbers that I had up there was Profit gave an average NR MSE of 0.24 and Random Forest of 0.26. But it is very notable that certain GL accounts performed much better with Profit, and those ones on average were GL accounts that had more seasonal trends. And other ones, Random Forest did perform better. So that's why we give access to both of them so that the property manager themselves can maximize where they want their inferences based on what they believe their data would look like.
Other question? No? Then let's take this
All right, hello everyone. We are Team Flare, and our project is the fire likelihood and risk estimation. To introduce the team, I'm Alvin.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Nick.
I'm Steven.
I'm Shuya.
Yeah, so let's jump right into the problem. So in California, we're all familiar with wildfires. But did you know that they actually cause 7.4 million acres of land to be burned annually? And this can lead up to 2.4 billion in damages a year. A wildfire can disrupt or even shut down a business, and even if the business does recover from these damages, the customer base may not, which could lead up to trillions of dollars in losses.
So for our project, we had a few goals. Our first goal was to investigate existing machine learning models and see how they use different kinds of data, like spatial or temporal data, to make their predictions. This leads into our next step, which was to develop our own model. And we wanted to have our model have a more accurate and efficient way at predicting wildfires. And lastly, we wanted to develop a way to visualize our results such that businesses could use our results to aid in decision making.
Here are some existing solutions. So most of the current solutions use a simulation method or mathematical models, which can be expensive and hard to maintain. Other common methods use traditional machine learning techniques, such as support vector machines, decision trees, random forests, and genetic algorithms. However, as an increasing amount of meteorological and climate data becomes available, it becomes more difficult for these methods to remain effective, thus encouraging deep learning approaches such as recurrent neural network and LSTM.
All right, so although wildfires are a global phenomenon, we really wanted to center our focus to our home state in California because I'm pretty sure everyone in this room has been affected by a wildfire in some way or another. That being said, we had two data sets that we worked with for our project, the first of which being the UCSB data set, which was generously given to us by Dr. Isaac Park, who is a researcher here, or a postdoc here, and he also worked on a similar wildfire project here at the school. So this data set consists of a culmination of climate weather variables and human activity features for each coordinate in California, and from the years 2003 through 2017. And additionally, each coordinate has an associated fire value, which is either a 0 or a 1 to indicate whether a fire had occurred at that coordinate. Our second data set is from the Google Earth Engine, which uses Landsat 7 satellite imagery. The spatial resolution of these images is 8 kilometers by 8 kilometers, and they're taken every 16 days. And for the ground truth of this data set, we used hotspots that were tagged by FIRM, which is another satellite-based data source. And now onto our models. So for our baseline model, we decided to use logistic regression since that's widely used for binary classification problems. And how logistic regression works is that it takes in a weighted sum of the features from a sample and then outputs the probability that the sample belongs to a particular class. So in our case, we were concerned with each of the coordinates which served as our samples belonging to class 1, which marked a fire event. So how we trained this model was we used the UCSB data from the years 2003 through 2013, and we predicted on the years 2014 through 2017. Our predictions were fire probabilities taken directly from this logistic regression curve, and we used these fire probabilities to later construct heat maps of California, which we'll later see in the demo. These heat maps were then evaluated using a metric known as the ROC-AUC score, which determines how well the model can distinguish between the two classes. So for the baseline model, we were aiming for a score of over 0.5, since anything below that meant that the model wasn't performing as intended. But by playing around with different features and parameters, we were able to exceed our expectations with a score of 0.68.
And while the logistic regression model provides good insights into the predictive power of individual features, what it doesn't account for is the visual cues that fires produce. So to better understand the spatial pattern of fire, we decided to treat this problem as an image-to-image translation task. What this means is that we want our model to take an image as an input and output another image. So to achieve this, we pre-process our data into images and we train a variational autoencoder. And after pre-processing, our data became highly complex, with each image containing up to 30 channels, where each channel is a feature that can be used for prediction. And the VAE is capable of learning a small but meaningful representation of this complex data and then using that to predict a one-channel fire probability heat map. And the results were promising. Our model achieved an average AUC of 0.75, which is a 10.29% improvement over the baseline. And this emphasizes the importance of including spatial information in fire prediction. But can we do even better? So we thought that while spatial information is important, so too is temporal information, which is about how things are changing over time. By taking into account of the temporal dimension of fire behavior, models can better capture information such as fire spread and fire history. So in order to capture both the spatial and the temporal dependencies within our data, we developed a LSTM plus CNN hybrid model. So for those of you who don't know, LSTM stands for long short-term memory, and CNN stands for convolutional neural network. Our model architecture is shown in the first diagram here. So the data first go through a convolutional layer, which captures the spatial pattern, and then they go through LSTM, which captures the temporal pattern. And lastly, several fully connected layers output a single number representing the fire probability. Something interesting we noticed while training our previous models was that all the models tend to bias towards class 0, which is no fire. So for this training, we employed a custom loss function that mitigates this bias by imposing a high penalty for when the ground truth is greater than the prediction. This basically steers the model away from predicting 0 or really low probability all the time. And we noticed that it led to better results. In the end, our model achieved an average AUC of 0.79, which is a 5% improvement over the VAE and a 16% improvement over the baseline. We believe that this improvement is significant, and it shows the importance of including both spatial and temporal information when training fire prediction models. And for our best performing model, we conducted some additional analysis. First, we experimented with varying sliding window sizes, which is the amount of historical data that is used for prediction. And we found that including 1 year of prior data led to the best performance, and actually a big jump in the performance. And the second analysis we did was to evaluate our model across different months of the year. Our findings revealed that our model had the highest AUC score in August and the lowest AUC score in January and March. Based on this, we hypothesized that our model may be more effective at fire prediction for months with a higher likelihood of such incidents, such as the ones over the summer and fall.
All right, now that we got through a lot of the research technical parts, we were very excited to show you the actual demo of this product. So if we go here, we can actually just type in the Flare Wildfire app. And this is actually publicly available for everyone, but it is to be noted that it is not fully compatible on mobile yet, so it might be a little wonky there. And if this is your first time visiting the site, you can scroll down, you can see a little bit about the problem, and you can learn more about us if you just click on one of these pictures. So now let's jump straight into Flare. So how does this work? Well, first we can pick a prediction year. So in this case, I'll pick California 2017. It's to be noted that there is data out there that goes all the way to 2080, and our model is able to predict all the way up to those years if given that data. But for the purposes of this project, we were only able to obtain up to 2017. So let's see some applications. Let's say you're a student at UCSB, and you want to see what the fire likelihood is at living in IV. So we can search up Isla Vista. We can see that, oh, you can feel relatively safe living around there. But if we scroll out a little bit, we can see in Santa Barbara fashion, there is a higher likelihood of fire around the area. So for another application, let's say you're a company like Google and you want to set up a new headquarters somewhere. Let's just say you want to set up in Santa Monica, so let's search that up. And in Santa Monica, we can see, oh, it's also pretty safe, so Google can probably set up here without too much fear of wildfire damages. Lastly, let's just say you're PwC, a risk assurance company, and you have a client, PG&E, the electricity company, and they want to set up some new infrastructure in Concao, California. So let's just see what it's like over there. So when we go to Concao, we can see that this is actually a very, very high fire probability zone. So what can PwC do about this? Well, they can go into deeper analysis, maybe do some field studies, look into environmental variables, and then consult PG&E about what they can do to mitigate risks and damages in setting up infrastructure there. However, if it's too high of a risk, we can even scrap the infrastructure completely to prevent anything bad from happening. For some of you, this actually may sound familiar. This is actually the worst California wildfire that happened in 2018, the Concao wildfire. Our model right now is showing how it looks like in 2017, and we can see already in 2017, it's already very, very high in fire probability. So if an app like Flare was available during that time, maybe companies could have better visualized this data and prevented, or at least mitigated some risk from that wildfire. We're not saying that Flare is going to be a 100% sure-shot way to determine where wildfires are, but it is better to have a precautionary risk assessment than to react to a wildfire that's already happening. And with this being said, now that Flare is available, we would like this to be used in the future and to be better developed and eventually used to prevent stuff like the Concao fire from happening again. And for some of you who really like the details about the models, you can go into more information and scroll down. You can get a lot more details about each individual model that were on the slides.
All right, yeah, so in conclusion, we observed really promising results for our models. As Kelly was saying, we saw at least 2.9% improvement in AUC scores over other existing models. And furthermore, we're really excited about the potential applications for this model. As we saw in the demo, we were able to generate 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer visualizations throughout California. And like Alvin was saying, anybody from like large businesses to even individual homeowners can use this to help make their own decisions. Ultimately, we really hope that Flare can be used as a tool to help mitigate wildfire risk. In other words, be aware, be prepared, trust Flare. Thanks.
Hey, this is a great, great project. You know, we all need this. So, can you give me some intuition? How would your model handle two cases? One is, you know, after the fire, usually everything is burned down. So, most likely after that there won't be fire there, right? And then the second thing is we all know whenever we have a wet season like this time, there will be more grass and then there will be, unfortunately, more fire. So do you think you can use models of how much rain we got, or snow to predict better? Thank you.
Yeah, I can actually answer this question. So for the UCSB data, some of the best features that we found were those that dealt with climate. So in terms of rain, one of the features was the climatic water deficit, which basically shows how much drought has occurred in a given area, and also the actual evapotranspiration, which is the amount of transpiration and evaporation that occurs in the area as well. And these two were key into being able to predict where a wildfire would occur. And then, could you repeat the first question? It was, using previous fires.
So basically, fire is not last 1 year or whatever you have now. It's usually much more so if you had fire 20 years ago in certain areas, you don't have fire for 10 years. So how would you model this, Most likely, Tahoe area, Salt Lake is safe now because of the Calder fire 2 years ago. But then in 10 years,
Yeah,
it will be unsafe.
Another parameter in that data set was the time since the last fire, which was marked in years. And I also included that when training the models, so it takes into account that.
Question. What exactly does a 4% risk of fire mean?
What does it mean? All right, so that percentage was taken from the curve, right? And because the data was so biased towards no fire, since in general, California is not always on fire, we thought that, because it's relatively higher than the others, then it's a high risk. And additionally, in Dr. Isaac's papers, he had similar numbers, and he also reported that because even having a 1% chance of fire would be considerably large for any coordinate, if that makes sense.
Is that a 1% chance of fire occurring at any point in the year, or 1% chance?
Yeah, or any point in the year. Yeah.
Question. So this is a great project. I love it. Talking about the ethics of this project, what prevents insurance companies from using this data? Because they're notorious for using this sort of data to increase risk premiums on insurances, mortgages, and so on. If you buy a house up in the mountains, you're going to get a crazy fire insurance and health insurance rate if you have this data.
Oh yeah, that's a great question. And because we worked with PwC, that might have been what their goal was with this project, because they are a risk assurance company. But in terms of giving them the data, we did not give them the data, so yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming out. We're very excited to share our Capstone project with you. Before we get started, I just want to give a quick thank you to our mentors from Artera, Brian and Anav, for mentoring us through the development process over these last 2 quarters. I'm Jack.
I'm Heather. I'm Victoria.
I'm Archana.
Samar.
And we are Team Tranquil. So finals are coming up next week. Show of hands, who here is a little stressed out or anxious about their upcoming exams? All right, see a few hands out there. This is totally normal. It's actually quite common. A recent Harvard study concluded that 64% of college students suffer from chronic anxiety and high levels of stress in their daily lives. Unfortunately, we don't have very many solutions to handle this problem at the moment, technology solutions that is. There are some apps out there, such as the Calm app, that offers some breathing exercises, but it doesn't detect whether or not stress and anxiety has occurred in the user. It needs to be self-assessed. So You also have different devices like the Apollo device that can detect stress and anxiety. However, it does not offer any effective solution at reducing stress and anxiety in the user. We hope through our application to bridge that gap and create a comprehensive software solution.
So our solution is Tranquil. Tranquil is an app for both your Apple Watch and your iPhone that combines anxiety detection as well as stress management. On the Apple Watch, Tranquil will monitor your heart rate constantly and use it in our algorithm to detect anxiety. Then upon this detection of anxiety, we'll send a notification to both your watch and your iPhone asking you if you're okay. And if you're not okay, you can click on the notification on the iPhone and it will take you to our app where you can participate in one of our 3 researched stress management techniques to help you calm down on the spot. And these include an AI chatbot if you really want to talk to someone, breathing exercises if you want to lower your heart rate and feel calm and focused, and lastly, a journal if you want to write out all your thoughts and emotions.
So to best display our app, we will be going through a user in our target audience who would most benefit from using our app, Tranquil. Her name is Victoria. She's 21 years old, and she's a UCSB student. Some of her triggers for anxiety could be any sort of exam environment, any high-stake interview situation, and just a general pressure to succeed. So for some context, Victoria has a busy social and work life, and she also has some finals to study for coming up, along with some summer opportunities that she needs to interview for. This makes Victoria a perfect candidate for using Tranquil.
So now we're going to showcase a little skit called A Day in the Life of Tranquil to show how Victoria, who's me, can use Tranquil to help calm down in real time.
Sorry I'm late, class. Traffic was killer. Just give me one moment, we'll get started here in a minute. So as you guys know, finals week is fast approaching. The final exam in my course is going to be exactly 50% of your overall grade for this quarter. It will be cumulative, and additionally, I haven't written the final yet, but it'll probably have about 10 or so coding questions, maybe 5 or so proofs, and you're only going to have about 45 minutes to do it, but I think that should be doable. Oh, one final thing. There's not going to be a cheat sheet for this, unlike the midterm. I don't really think it's necessary. I think I've done a great job teaching this quarter, and you guys have a good comprehension of the material in this class.
The AI chatbot should be using considered less and helping be less stressed. My heart is beating so fast right now. A breathing exercise should help me calm down. went so well, I need to write down how I'm feeling.
All right, so as you can see, Victoria had an amazing day using the Tranquil app. Not only does Tranquil help with stress detection and management, but it gives you valuable insights into how your stress levels are improving every single day. So we collect quite a few metrics, but here are some of the more notable ones. Right here we have application usage, so how many times you've journaled throughout the week, spoken to the AI chatbot, or done breathing exercises. In addition, we have stress levels that are determined by natural language processing analysis on each of the journal entries. And finally, our past and current week's heart rate variability, which is the best indicator one-to-one and visualization of how you're doing stress-wise.
So we are using the best available technology in iOS and watchOS development for our app. We created our app in SwiftUI through Xcode and utilize Apple's HealthKit and CloudKit frameworks to seamlessly connect between the watch and phone. We use CoreML for NLP and ChatGPT for our chatbot. Tranquil is the first app to use biometric data to detect anxiety in real time and also mitigate that anxiety as soon as possible, helping you stay tranquil. Thank you.
Why did you decide, how can you convince ChatGPT to answer as a sort of like in a supportive way? We have seen so many cases in which ChatGPT turns into like a nasty, weird, interlocutor. So how do you do that?
That's a good question. We talked about this earlier with ChatGPT and AI. So we used prompt engineering. So we gave ChatGPT the context of pretending to be our therapist so that it knows that there's some mental health implication that the users might have. We also gave it a temperature value, which is how consistent the responses are. So if it was 0, then it would be the same response to the same question. We tweaked that around to find the best results for our app. So our app works even when it goes down, because we're not paying for the monthly subscription. We're using API usage. So it's just like, different. So when it goes down on the front end on their website, we still can communicate with ChatGPT.
I believe the question was asking if the API goes down.
Oh, if the API goes down, then that function will not work. Well, with what we designed, we gave it the context of it being our, someone you need to talk to when you have anxiety. But I'm sure, well, we haven't really worked with a general friend or assistant that you could talk to on a day-to-day basis. I'm sure results would be more inconsistent because it's a much broader prompt.
It was also kind of hard to see in the demo video, but when she was stressed out for that upcoming final exam and she asked it for maybe some study tips, it did offer ways to study. So in that sense, it was kind of like a personal assistant as well as a therapist to offer solutions in order to help calm the user down.
How does it differentiate between instances of being stressed
Well, when I test out the AI chatbot, because I've been using it when it notifies me that I'm anxious, I'll like give it a more specific prompt. I won't just say, oh, I'm anxious. I'll say like, oh, as of right now, we're detecting like spikes in your heart rate and like heart rate variability. So if I get anxious during scary movies, so it would go off during then. I have been testing it with exercise and it doesn't go off then, but that would be a good factor to put into like roller coasters and stuff as well. I feel like if I was getting them every second, yes. But the way we're doing it is when I'm super anxious, I've only gotten it maybe once every 10 minutes or something at the most when I'm chronically anxious. So I feel like it doesn't bombard me, but I can understand how it bombards other people, and we can definitely incorporate that in like settings.
Well, I'm not thinking about the rapidness of the notifications. I'm thinking of like, if I started getting anxious about something, and then I knew this app was just about to take me like, hey, you're getting anxious, what's up?
So our statistics actually track that. There's a literal graph that tracks your HRV versus the number of notifications that you're receiving. And HRV is the best metric for measuring someone's mental stress level because it measures the time in between heartbeats. And so if you're seeing on the graph that as notifications go up, your HRV is also kind of mirroring it, then yeah, you're probably maybe it's resulting in extra stress when you're getting those notifications, so maybe you want to toggle them off or something. So that is something that we do track. So given more time, we would have liked to further develop it to be suitable for Android devices and Garmin watches, et cetera, but currently it only is supported by iOS. So the reason we opted to use an AI chatbot is because there are actually clinical medical studies that support the argument that just talking to something is a beneficial way of mitigating anxiety and stress. And additionally, your therapist might not be ready at a moment's notice if you're having a panic attack and you need to talk to somebody. This is the only solution that you'll have if you want to talk to somebody on the spot. I mean, obviously it would be preferable to be able to just call your therapist, but that might not always be an option. So this is the 24/7 solution for that. Thank you.
Also use this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the students. They did an amazing job. You can see that a lot of work went into these presentations. Now, myself with the 4 judges, we're gonna congregate here and review and decide the winners of this competition. In the meanwhile, there are refreshments in the back, so help yourself, relax, and chill. Winners. We have Randy, Zoran, Jeremy, and Ben. These are experts in the industry. You probably, you met Jeremy, came to our class to talk about his experience, but we looked at many things. I gave some input and my opinion, but this is mostly their choice. And so let's start with position number 3, It's Team Oversee. So please come on stage. You win $1,000. This money will be sent to you to your UCSB account, the BART account? Bar account? I think it's a bar account that you go in Isla Vista and you get. So please take a peek. It'd be great if you can be around the judges as well. So. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Excellent. All right. Now, team number 2, CoreKey. $1,500. Congratulations. Excellent. Congratulations. All right, and now the winner of the first prize for $2,000 is Team Tranquil. Congratulations. Come on stage. Now you're free to go home, enjoy the food, coffee, and everything else. And thank you to all the other teams. You all made it somewhere there, but of course we have a very difficult choice and we had to make it.